With Sheikh Mansour's billions behind them, Manchester City are able to sign some of the finest players from across the globe. From Kevin De Bruyne to David Silva, Manchester City have become host to some of the best names in football and are now one of the biggest clubs in the world. But despite that, there are still some players you might not know used to have a contract at the Etihad. Here are 11 players you forgot used to play for Manchester City. Number 1, Jerome Boateng. City have spent a fortune on centre-backs in recent years on the likes of John Stones, Nicolas Otamendi, Aymeric Laporte and Eliakim Mangala, but they could have saved themselves a fair wedge had Jerome Boateng's time at the club gone a bit better. Back in 2010, the German centre-back left Hamburg for City for a fee of £10.4 million, agreeing a 5-year deal with the club. However, Boateng would only last 1 year in Manchester, making 24 appearances across all competitions, before packing his bags once again and returning to Germany with Bayern Munich, where he's developed into one of the best defenders in the world, winning 6 Bundesliga titles and a World Cup. Number 2, Glenn Whelan. From a World Cup winner to Glenn Whelan, not all of these former City players are going to be glamorous. Some will be hard-working midfielders who spent most of their career playing for Stoke. But before Manchester City were the oil-rich club we know today and were producing players like Phil Foden, they had the likes of Glenn Whelan coming through their academy, joining from Cherry Orchard in 2001. Whelan would make just one senior appearance for the club, coming off the bench in a UEFA Cup clash against Total Network Solutions in August 2003, when he was just 19 years old. 15 years on and Whelan is in the Championship with Aston Villa, but has nearly 300 Premier League appearances to his name from his time with Stoke, and appeared at 2 European Championships with Ireland. Number 3, Rolando Bianchi. Before Sheikh Mansour's money, they had Thaksin Shinawatre's money, and before they had Sergio Aguero and Gabriel Jesus, they had Rolando Bianchi. In the summer of 2007, City paid Regina £8.8 million for Italian forward Rolando Bianchi, donning the number 10 shirt that is now worn by the club's all-time leading goal scorer. But while Bianchi had the number, he would manage 4 Premier League goals, but by the time the transfer window opened again in January, Bianchi wanted out, stating he could not play for the Italian national team unless he returned to Serie A. He did just that with a loan spell at Lazio and then a permanent move to Torino, but the now 35-year-old forward would never play for the 4-time World Cup winners. Number 4 is Wayne Hennessey. Goalkeeper has been a problem position for Manchester City, with Pep Guardiola's rejection of Joe Hart and his inability to play football with his feet, the horror signing of Claudio Bravo who was unable to stop the ball with his hands, and the solution, Edison, who came at a price of £35 million. But would they have had to go through all this grief if they just kept Wayne Hennessey? Yes, they would have. But the Welsh stopper was very briefly a Manchester City player when he was a teenager, leaving at the age of 16. So Hennessey was nowhere near the Manchester City first team, but he was once on their books and was one of few goalkeepers who were able to keep a clean sheet against Guardiola's champions last season. Number 5 is Stefan Savic. A Premier League winner with the club, Stefan Savic's time with City was short, disappointing, but ultimately ended with a medal. The defender cost £6 million in 2011 from Partizan, but like Jerome Boateng, only lasted 1 season in Manchester, making 12 league appearances before heading to Fiorentina, and a deal that saw City bring in a replacement in Matai Nastasic, who also didn't have a lengthy career at the Etihad. 7 years since leaving, Savic is now an important player at Atletico Madrid, not looking out of place in a squad that includes the likes of Diego Godin and Jose Jimenez. Number 6 is Denis Suarez. Reportedly a target for Chelsea this summer, the Blues could have been Denis Suarez's second Premier League club, having previously been a Citizen back in 2011. The midfielder spent 2 years with the club, joining from Celta Vigo for an initial £850,000, with the likes of Barcelona and Manchester United also keen. City won the race though, but in the end it was a race that wasn't worth winning, with Suarez making just 2 first-team appearances during his 2 years in England, although he was named the club's best young player in 2012. It meant nothing though, and Suarez returned to Spain, this time with Barcelona, where he's been ever since, if you ignore the time they sold him to Villarreal before buying him back just a year later. Now aged 24, Suarez has never really nailed down a first team place at the new camp. Number 7, Florian Lejeune. Girona and Manchester City are 2 football clubs that are linked, but even before then they were exchanging players. Florian Lejeune enjoyed an impressive debut season with the Spanish club, and thus prompted Man City to sign the French defender, only to send him straight back to Girona for a loan spell. And when that loan spell ended, what happened? He was signed by Eibar on a 4-year deal. Did Lejeune ever even step foot in Manchester during his time with the club? He's now back in the Premier League properly, shining for Newcastle last season, but he could miss the entirety of this season due to an injury. Number 8 is Kieran Trippier. The hero of the summer, the greatest right back in the world, the man that gave us the greatest few minutes of our lives against Croatia, Kieran Trippier used to be a Manchester City player. While Kyle Walker swapped Spurs for City, Kieran Trippier had already been at the Etihad, coming through the club's academy, joining at the age of 9. Trippier signed a pro contract with the club in 2007, but would never break into the first team, going out on loan spells to Barnsley and Burnley, before going back to Turf Moor permanently in 2012. Now a top-class player for Spurs and an England regular, it must have been hard for Trippier to believe he could get this far in the game when he was spending his days in the Championship. Number 9, Adrien Rabiot. Now this one might be classed as cheating because he was only 13 and never anywhere near the first team, and he was only with the club's academy for a few months in 2008, but Adrien Rabiot was once on the books at Manchester City. The 23-year-old French midfielder, who wasn't selected for their World Cup triumph this summer, could still be a City player today had things gone a bit differently. But reported homesickness and illness to his father meant that Rabiot spent just 6 months at City before returning to France, where he was eventually found a home with PSG. However, he might be moving home soon, with Rabiot linked with an exit from the Parisians, so could he return to the Etihad? With his contract expiring next summer, you never know. Number 10 is Ronnie Lopes. A player who lit up Ligue 1 last season, Ronnie Lopes was shining for a Benjamin Mendy and Bernardo Silva-less Monaco last season, who had both departed the club for Manchester City in mega money moves. But Lopes had done it all before, and previously joined City in 2011 from Benfica when he was just 15. In fact, Lopes would become Manchester City's youngest ever goal scorer in 2013, finding the net in an FA Cup clash with Watford at the age of 17 years and 9 days. However, despite his performances for both the youth and first team, Lopes was sold in the summer of 2015, joining Monaco for £9 million. Last season, in what was his first as a regular at the club since joining, Lopes scored 15 goals from midfield, playing in every league game for Monaco. And finally, number 11, Loris Karius. The biggest surprise of the lot, Loris Karius used to be a Manchester City player. The poor bloke had an absolutely horrendous time at Liverpool, which is now over for the time being after joining Besiktas on loan, but Karius just didn't settle at Anfield, and his role in the Champions League final will always be remembered for the wrong reasons. But he could have been Manchester City's problem had things gone a bit differently. In 2009, a young German goalkeeper joined the Manchester City Academy, playing for the under-18s and under-21s, but never the first team, and then headed to Mainz on loan in 2012. 6 months into the loan spell, and the deal was made permanent, and Karius would make his name in the Bundesliga, convincing Liverpool to snap him up in 2016 for just £4.75 million. Nothing went right for Karius, who just proved that City's academy is useless, because if it was any good, he'd still be Liverpool's number 1, and Alisson would be nowhere to be seen. So those are 11 players who you might not know played for Manchester City. Let us know of any more in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.